Hey, what is going on, everybody? It is Rob, aka The Diligent Dev, and welcome back to part 3 of our cocktail recipe app utilizing VueJS, the Ionic Framework, and TheCocktailDB. Now in this section, what we're going to be doing is working on our third tab, where we're going to have a free-form search text box. When the user types in there, we will display some search results based on what they have searched for. So let's go ahead and jump over to the computer and get right into it.
Okay, so here we are over at the computer and we have our project loaded up on the left in Visual Studio Code, and we have our app running in the browser. And to do that, I went down to the terminal and ran Ionic serve. Now, the first thing we're going to do, just like in every other tab, is change the tab icon and the tab name. So to do that, we're going to head to SRC, Views, and Tabs. We're going to scroll down here. And we see we still have our square, and that is the icon that's being referenced for tab 3. And what we're going to change that to is search. And then we will return it in our setup so that we can reference it in the template. And then we're just going to change tab 3's name to search. I'll go ahead and save. And now we see that we have our magnifying or search icon, and our name on the tab is search. Next, we will head over to Views and tab 3 and start working on our search functionality. So if we head to the TheCocktailDB and we go ahead and we look at the search cocktail by name, and this is what we're going to be using as our endpoint for the search. So what I'm going to do is just copy this and paste it in the browser. And we see we get an array of drinks, and this would be for margaritas, and it gives us all the drink details. So the way that I envision our search tab working is that we'll just go ahead and let the user search in a search bar that's going to be contained up in the header section. And when they search, if there are any search results, we'll just go ahead and display a list of cards in here with all of the drink details, since we're already getting that back from the API. Now, this should be pretty easy because in our last video, we made the drink card component that's contained inside of our components folder, and we can just use this and loop through the search results and display a drink card for each drink that is returned. So the first thing we'll do inside of tab 3 is we're just going to get rid of the Explorer container. We'll go ahead and remove it from the components, and we'll also go ahead and remove everything inside of this Ion content. At the top for the Ion title, we will make it search. Then up at the top for our imports, we're going to import reactive from Vue, and this will hold our state. We're going to import Axios from Axios to make our Ajax call, and then we'll also import drink card from @/components/drinkcard.view. And we'll use that to display our drinks. Next, what we're going to do is declare our interface. And since the interface is the exact same on the drink.view page, so if we scroll down, we have our drink interface. It's going to be exactly the same as it's going to be for tab 3. So instead of creating this and duplicating our code, let's go ahead and abstract this so that we can use it in multiple files. So inside of source, what I'm going to do is make a new folder called interfaces. And inside of this, we're going to create a new file, and I'm going to call it idrinkdetails.ts. And then I'm going to head back to our drink.view. I'm going to grab this interface. I'm going to cut it, go back to our idrinkdetails, paste it in. I'm going to change the naming convention to idrinkdetails. And then at the bottom, I'm going to do an export default idrinkdetails. Go ahead and save that. Now, since we did remove this from drink.view, we have to re-add it. So up here at the top, we will import idrinkdetails from /, interfaces / iDrink details. Then we will scroll down and we'll see that we're getting an error because this interface no longer exists. And we're just going to make this iDrink details. And we'll go ahead and save everything. And then just to make sure that this is still working, I'm going to head back to search by ingredient. We'll just select this and we see that our drink card is still working correctly. Next, we'll head back to our tab 3. And I'm just going to go ahead and import that interface. So iDrink details from wrap that interfaces / iDrink details. Next, we will create our setup method. And we'll go ahead and put our state in there. So we'll say const state equals reactive. We will pass it an object. And we'll say search results. We'll declare it as an array and as iDrink details array. Then we'll also do loading and set that to false. Next, we'll work on our method to fetch search results. So we'll say const fetch search results equals async. We will pass in a search term, and that will be of type string. And let me scroll down so we can see this a little bit better. We will set this equal to an arrow function. The first thing we'll do is set state.loading equal to true. Then we'll check to see if we actually have a search term. So we're going to say if search term state.search results. We will set it to an empty array so we don't keep pushing new search results into our array. Then we'll say const res equals await axios.get. And we're going to go back to the TheCocktailDB. And we will grab this search cocktail by name endpoint and go ahead and paste it in here. And we're going to do a backtick when we paste it in because we're going to do some interpolation. So we'll say $ and brackets and pass in our search term. I'm going to hit Alt-Shift-F to format everything. And next we will check to see if we got a response. So we'll say if res.data state.search results equals res.data. We will check that it's not null and drinks. And then the last thing we need to do is set state.loading to false. Then at the end of our setup, we're just going to return our states and fetch search results so that we can use it in the template. So let's go ahead and scroll up here. And we see we have our Ion toolbar with our title of search. So if we go over here, we see that's displayed up here. But what I'd like to do is put a search text box right underneath that. So in order to do that, we're going to create another Ion toolbar. And inside of this Ion toolbar, we're going to do an Ion search bar. Now, in order to use this component, we need to import it. So I'm going to say Ion search bar, and then we're going to register it as a component. We're going to give the search bar a property or an attribute of debounce. And we're going to set that to 500 for half a second. So that way when the user is typing, it won't just repeatedly hit our API. It'll give a half a second after they've stopped typing to actually call it. And then we'll say on Ion change, we will create an arrow function, and we're going to pass in the event. And we're just going to call fetch search results and pass in the search term, which is located in e.detail.value, not slash dot. I'm going to hit Alt-Shift-F so we can format this and see it a little bit better. The next thing I'm going to do is copy this Ion content, because we're going to have two of them. And one is going to be displayed when we have a loader or when the page is loading. So inside of this Ion content, we're going to put a div with a class of center. And we're going to put an ion spinner in here. We're going to give the spinner a color of primary. And on this ion content, we're going to do a vif state.loading. And then on this ion content, we will do a velse. I'm going to put a div in here. We are going to give it a class of center. We're also going to do a vif on this. And I'm going to say state.searchResults. So we'll check to see that we have search results. And state.searchResults.length is equal to 0. And that essentially means that we don't have any search results. So what we're going to do is display an ion label. And inside of this ion label, we're just going to put no results. Please search above. I'll hit Alt-Shift-F to format it. And then below this div, we will do a drink card. We're going to do a v4 on this. And we're going to say drink in state.searchResults. We're going to give it a key equal to drink.id drink. And we're also going to pass in the drink and set that equal to drink. And it looks like I missed this space here. And then I'm going to go ahead and save everything. And we see now we have our search, and this does not look great. So what I'm going to do is head back to tab 1. And we know we have our loading center down here. I'm going to go ahead and grab this. We're going to come back to our tab 3. I'm going to create a style tag and go ahead and paste that in there. And we're just going to change this from loading center to center. So up here in the top, we'll make sure that we gave this a class of center and this, because it doesn't make sense to make this loading center since we're using it for two different things. So I'm going to go ahead and save again. And you see now we have no results. Please search above. It looks a little low, and that's because we've added this search bar. So I'm just going to make the height 80. And that looks much better. And the last thing that we need to do is actually register our drink card as a component. You'll see we're getting a little squiggly because it is defined but never used. So let's go ahead and register that as a component. And then we can save everything. And I'm just going to search for margarita. And we see now we get our search results back, and we have a list of cards for margaritas. So that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for this video. As we can see, our app is looking really good. We have our random cocktail, we have by ingredient, and we also have a blanket search. Now in my fourth and final video coming up after this one, we'll go ahead and refactor some things and kind of polish our app up. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my channel and enable notifications so you'll be notified when that video comes out. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns about this video, go ahead and drop a line in the comment section below. And until next time, happy coding.